Good morning and welcome to Rising. We have a great and glorious show for you today, and I am joined at the desk by Stephen Kent. Good to see you, Stephen.
Great and glorious. What a place to start. I hope the news is as good.
We hope it lives up to the billing. How are you? Happy Friday, by the way.
Very happy Friday. I wonder what sort of fresh horrors will drop in the news today as soon as we finish this show, but let's dive in.
You can never tell what's about to happen. Well, in the meantime, it's no secret that the economy is usually the #1 issue on people's minds. Trump was emphatic while campaigning last year about how he would be better than his predecessor, President Biden, at handling that issue.
Now, the latest jobs report has been released this morning. Here are the big takeaways. The U.S. added 151,000 jobs in February. This was an improvement on the 125,000 jobs added in January. And the unemployment rate is now at 4.1%, a minor tick up. The number for February was less than expected. However, since the Dow Jones forecast projected 170,000 jobs to be added. Average hourly earnings rose as expected by 0.3%. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt wrote on X, "In 1 month under President Trump, the American economy is soaring back to greatness after the economic calamity left by Joe Biden. The manufacturing industry is already rebounding as there were 9,000 new auto jobs created, the most auto jobs added in 15 months. Under President Trump, the private sector is leading the way. 93% of the job gains in February were the private sector. This is great news for American workers and families."
Now, back in August 2024, Trump said, "When I win, I will immediately bring prices down, starting on day one." Has he fulfilled that promise? Well, this week, the CEOs of Target and Best Buy, among others, warned that Trump's tariff policies would raise prices. Those tariffs have also shaken up the markets. This week, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had dropped almost 700 points after Trump imposed his 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
Yesterday, however, he decided to delay some of those tariffs for at least a month, specifically those covered by the USMCA trade agreement. Trump wrote in part on Truth Social, "I did this as an accommodation and out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping illegal aliens from entering the United States and likewise stopping fentanyl. Thank you to President Sheinbaum for your hard work and cooperation." Trump also had given car makers a 1-month tariff delay this week, which caused the stock market to rise again.
Now, aside from the instability that those tariffs are causing, there is also the price of eggs. In January, a dozen eggs were going for almost $5 on average, which is up from around $2.50 last year. To be clear, a part of the reason for the egg spike is the rise of avian influenza, but Democrats are still using the issue as political leverage against Trump. So, is Trump to blame for all this, or is it too early to tell? I have my views, Stephen, but why don't you kick us off?
Where to begin? So the jobs numbers, I think, is the most annoying political football in Washington. You know, they put out this report, and the White House will always do what the White House does, no matter who's running it. They will put a favorable spin on it and cherry-pick numbers. I think it's worth noting Donald Trump has been in office for barely over a month, but it has been chaos in a lot of regards.
A tumultuous month, certainly.
Yeah, it has been chaos. You know, there have been, I think, a 41,000 increase in federal agency job losses from this time last year. That's no small thing, but overall unemployment really only ticked up 0.1%. I think that can be accounted for by instability in the market, the private sector bracing for unpredictable tariffs, and they are very unpredictable, and then, of course, federal agency job losses.
So I think there are real dangers for Trump here, not only in terms of the job numbers, because as you say, it is a modest tick up of 0.1%. But as I understand it, those federal job losses have not yet showed up in the numbers.
That's right. They're going to be in the next month.
In the next month. So we could be looking at further increases in unemployment. That means as of right now, after roughly 6 or 7 weeks of the Trump presidency, we have unemployment up, the stock market down, and in at least some important categories, inflation up. Those are fundamentally bad things. And I think there is a problem. I mean, the stock market is off about 5%, even on the S&P 500 since Trump's inauguration. And to me, the bigger problem here for the president is there has always been the argument from the left, from liberals, that Donald Trump is a danger to democracy. Lots of people believe that, lots of people don't. It didn't prevent him getting re-elected. The danger, I think, with Trump is the smaller number of people who can be moved either way on questions of competency. We saw that in 2020 with the COVID pandemic, which hurt him clearly politically and contributed to President Biden's victory that year. If he doesn't succeed on the economy, I think it does strip away that backing he gets on the question of competence.
100%. I mean, the honeymoon period is over. We are in phase 2 of this presidency where you get really just carte blanche, free reign in that first 30 days to do what you'd like and get settled in. And we are now going to enter a period of increased scrutiny. This mess with tariffs has got to stop. Americans, by and large, do not view Canada to our north as an adversary or some sort of villain that we need to be dragging across the ground in this trade dispute. There is large support for pursuit of fairness in our trade agreements, but some of the most recent polling on this just suggests that Mexico and Canada are not high on people's lists. They would prefer the scrutiny be put on China. But those tariffs on China are also going to increase consumer prices. And Donald Trump, I don't think he won on free speech. I don't think he won the presidency on wokeness. He won the White House back on the economy and the price of goods. This trade war that he is so insistent on dragging out and offering these delays month to month is not going to help. And it also keeps capital on Wall Street frozen. I mean, people like Warren Buffett are keeping their powder dry on all of their money because they just don't know what this man is going to do on any given day. We need stability, and he's not doing that.
No, and instability always hurts the markets. And on the tariff question specifically, Stephen, I'm struck by the fact that there is at least some suggestion of a cross-party consensus, or certainly cross-party criticism of what the president is doing. I saw Senator Rand Paul, a man who I rarely hail from this seat, being interviewed yesterday, talking about the fact that he doesn't hear any business in Kentucky talking about how they need tariffs. The industries there.
Well, his bourbon from Kentucky is being taken off shelves in Canada.
Right, exactly.
That is good for absolutely no one.
It hurts people all across the board. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out.
I was just telling this to my daughter the other day. She was talking to me and trying to ask questions about economics, and I was like, look, the market by and large can succeed in a Democrat or Republican presidency as long as things appear steady. People with money and capital to invest, they just don't like surprises.
Right.
Donald Trump needs to bring that to his administration, and fast.
For sure. We have a lot more topics to talk about on Rising, so stick with us right after this.